Are we live?
Yes, we
We're
are.
live? All right, everybody.
Yes.
No intro today because we want to jump right into it. Sorry, we're like 10 minutes late. That's on me. I was getting stuff set up. Um, so yeah, we're gonna jump just right into this. Hopefully, people kind of trickle in as we get going. We'll probably talk for about an hour or so today. So just a heads up, as always, not me pandering, but like just because we're gonna have to get through a lot of stuff today between me and Jessi. If you got super chats or donations, send those because we will make sure to still address all of those. So even if it's not Blood and Guts related or it's not related to Daniel Bryan, if you send those super chats and donations, we will still answer your questions, read your statements, all that stuff. And I am especially interested today to hear your predictions for Blood and Guts. Who do you think is going to win that main event? And also, where do y'all think Daniel Bryan could wrestle next? Do you think he's going to go back to WWE? Do you think that, do you have dream matches? Where would you like to see him wrestle? What would you like to see him in AEW? Who do you want to see him out there against in all these other companies, all these dream matches that are now possible? So let us know in the chat. Send those super chats and donations. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like button because it helps us out a ton. So just want to get all of that out of the way right off the top. And Jessi, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Excited for tonight. Fully vaxxed. Ready to go. Super excited. If you hear like, whoa, that's the baby. She's discovered that she has vocal cords and she's very excited. So, yeah. So we're excited for Blood and Guts. And I'm excited to hear what people have to say about Daniel Bryan. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. What a bombshell.
Yeah, really interesting times because I mean it's pretty cool because he's really, if I could pick one person out of like the whole WWE roster like currently, like, including Daniel Bryan, of like who I would want to leave and go to an AEW or Ring of Honor or New Japan or back to the Indies, like Daniel Bryan would be the top person I would want available. So this could be huge. And then again, he could always just re-sign with the WWE, which is his prerogative if he wants to do that. But I mean, he has an
Mhm.
opportunity here to like kind of redefine the whole landscape of pro wrestling again if he was to go out there on his own. And there's plenty of money to be made. Like he can make a lot of money with the WWE, of course, but I'm sure he can make just as much, if not more, if he's working for companies like AEW, New Japan, and he'd get like 100% of his merchandise again if he was selling T-shirts and stuff, and he'd sell out everywhere he went. I mean, um,
Yeah.
I'm really excited. Where would you like to see? I mean, I know AEW is like the obvious. If he was to wind up at AEW, do you think it should be like him and Omega just right off the bat, just title match? Like just go ahead and just go for that right away.
I don't know. It would be interesting because, he kind of got over in WWE being like this come from behind, come from the bottom. I feel like Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, his whole thing is kind of, if you know him like mainstream, his whole thing is he earns his spot. I think it would be really, I feel like he would probably go after like the TNT title. I would love to see him and Darby Allin go at it. I think that would be a really fun match.
That'd be sick.
Um, I don't think he would go right for the championship because I don't think he wants that kind of, and I don't think AEW honestly wants that stigma of like a WWE guy like instantly going for the main championship in AEW. I think I don't know. I just don't think that's a really good look. I think it would be a lot of fun. However, I would not be shocked or surprised if he just quit wrestling altogether and like opened up a farm to table restaurant or something.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know. Whatever is best for him and his family, because I mean, he's got two little ones. He's got a Brie at home. He's got Brie, Gouda, and Provolone at home.
is that the names of his kids?
No, 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 no. He's got, what is it, Birdie and Bert or
Oh
something?
yeah, something like
I,
that.
I was just making a cheese joke. But, he's got all of them at home. His neck is fragile. But, I mean, I think wrestling is truly his passion. And I think that's what brings him a lot of joy, obviously other than his family. But, you know, do I want him in AEW? Yeah, because I'm an AEW mark. But maybe he will take a break, or maybe he'll just go right in. Maybe we'll see him at Blood and Guts tonight. I highly doubt it. But I don't know. It's just very interesting the fact that he just let his contract expire. Maybe he's just using it for leverage to get more money in WWE. I don't know. Maybe he's waiting because I think a lot of talent have kind of gone to AEW to see what they would offer to kind of go back to WWE and say, hey, here's what I can get at AEW. What are you going to do to counter that or to make, they're doing that. They're shopping around to get a better deal from WWE.
Which they should do. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like it's really what Brock's been doing for the last like 10 years on and off. Every time his WWE contract would run up, he'd go talk to the UFC. The UFC would show a bunch of interest in him fighting again, and then he'd go back to Vince, and then Vince would give him more money to not go back to the UFC. And like, if I was Daniel Bryan, I'd do the same exact thing. Like, he has such a big name in the wrestling industry, and I mean, because he was the best independent wrestler in the world for a long time, and already had that fan base, like that hardcore fan base.
Yes.
And then went to WWE and became like their top guy there. So like, he's such a huge, it's really kind of unlike anyone else that you could really even talk about, because he's the kind of guy who like also doesn't seem above. Like, I could totally, if he left the WWE, I could totally see him going to Ring of Honor and wrestling Jonathan Gresham. Like, just like as like a one-off Ring of Honor match or something. Because he wouldn't feel above it. He wants to, I've heard him in interviews talking about wanting to wrestle Jonathan Gresham specifically. And he's talking about Lee Moriarty, who's the IWTV champion. Like, I think he would literally go out and hit the indies and like just
shop around.
Yeah. And just be a free agent and get just do a bunch of dream matches. Because even if you're Ring of Honor, if you can get Bryan Danielson for one match, even if it's just one match against Jonathan Gresham, there's going to be more people watching and talking about Ring of Honor than anyone has in the last 15 years, just because of that one appearance from Daniel Bryan. I mean, he's going to bring so much value. So I'm really hoping, as an AEW mark myself, I'm really hoping that Daniel Bryan leaves the WWE and like goes and does this stuff, because there's a lot of great stuff for him in AEW. There's great stuff for him in New Japan. There's great stuff for him in Ring of Honor. There's a ton of indie promotions. I mean, there's so much opportunity for him. And from what it sounded, I don't want to like speak for the guy, but for what it sounded like in some of these interviews I've heard him do recently, he doesn't really seem that into. It isn't like WrestleMania 30 was for him with the WWE anymore. It's like, he's just kind of going through the motions. Kind of
there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, okay, well, you have an opportunity now to literally, like, and that's the thing is you have the WWE fan base who's going to be a fan of him even if he leaves the WWE, because he's such a big star there. And then you have all the fans like myself and others who like don't even really watch the WWE anymore, but like, we're always going to be Bryan Danielson fans. Like, we want to see the American Dragon back. Like, this is... Yeah. I mean, this would just be really, really cool. So...
Yeah. I agree. And I think, like, I can't speak for him, but it does seem like Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryan, whatever you may call him, he likes a challenge. Like, he likes to do something different, And right now, it doesn't feel like he's had the chance to do that. He's, like you say, he's just been going through the motions. He doesn't, like, his whole, like, the planet's champion thing was so great. Like, recently, that was so much fun. Then Kofi won the title, which was great. But then, ever since then, he's just kind of been, around.
Yeah.
And he's been a solid, reliable person to put on a great match no matter what. But that's about it.
And it really feels like, I talked about this with Doug on our chat last night, but, like, I think that I could be totally wrong, but it feels like them putting Daniel Bryan in the WrestleMania main event this year might have been like a last-ditch effort to get him to re-sign.
Yeah, you're right.
So, yeah, very very interesting time. So once again, in the chat, let us know, like, where do you want to see Daniel Bryan next? Who do you want to see him wrestle outside the WWE? Or do you want to see him stay with the WWE? And if he does that, I won't hold anything against him. Like, he's just securing, his future for himself and his family and stuff. But man, this is what an opportunity, especially because now we're living in a world where Daniel Bryan's a free agent, Samoa Joe is a free agent,
Brock Lesnar,
CM Punk still out there.
Yeah,
like you have, if you take Brock out of that group of those specific guys, we're talking about like the pillars of Ring of Honor are all right. Like Punk, Joe, and Daniel Bryan are all available. And I've talked about that too on other podcasts, just almost fantasy booking, but just how insane would that be, just hypothetically, if like the Bullet Club or whatever they're called, the Elite on AEW are just running roughshod on everybody, and it's just this group that's completely unstoppable, and then Bryan, Punk, and Joe show up, and it's like, oh my shit, God. You know what I mean? Like, that would be like, like trying to
The
get it
internet
back.
would break. It would literally break the internet.
Yeah. So, man, would that be cool? And they even have other guys like Homicide's out there, Loki's out there, like all these original Ring of Honor stars. Pretty much all of them are like still out there and on the scene. So like, it would be Anyways, I mean, Chris Hero's out there. Like all these guys are just like available right now. So.
The Tucker.
Well, that's a totally different thing. But I do like Tucker since he's left.
I like him now.
Yeah. I don't know exactly I mean, I think he'd do great in like Impact Wrestling, Tucker. Like
I think so too. I think that would be perfect. Just kind of like Matt Cardona and Brian Myers. I feel like they like Brian Myers especially. I feel like he was a really good fit for Impact.
I agree. Have you seen those tweets from Nick Gage and Matt Cardona?
No,
It's
what
the
happened?
funniest thing ever. I'm gonna pull these. I'm gonna pull these tweets up so y'all can read them along with me. These were the funniest 3 tweets in a row I've ever read in my life. I was literally laughing out loud. So what wound up happening was a fan asked Matt Cardona on his Twitter if he'd be interested in wrestling Nick Gage, and Nick Gage all he did was respond something like. Cardona just responded like, yeah, I'd wrestle Nick Gage or whatever. And then this was Nick Gage's response. He said, who is Matt Cardona and why is he saying he wants to fight me? Mad people hitting me up about it. Oh shit, Matt Cardona is the Zack Ryder dude. LOL, never mind, my bad. And then he says, someone told me that dude collects dolls for a living now. Is that true? I feel bad. Keep your head up, Matt. Keep working hard. You can get back to WWF if you believe in yourself.
That's great.
That's so like, what a patronizing set of I mean, that's so funny because
that was good.
And knowing Nick Gage, like that isn't a work either. Like he's actually sitting there like,
no,
who is Matt Cardona? Like, why are people messaging me about this Matt Cardona dude? And then he's like, oh shit, this is the dude who collects dolls. Like, oh little buddy, you can get back to WWF. Like, just keep believing in yourself.
Yes. Very New Jersey. Very New Jersey.
So funny. I will say though, like Matt Cardona, he's still very much like the biggest knock I have on, because obviously I'm a big fan. I literally have a signed picture of his like on my desk. Like I'm a big Matt Cardona fan because of his figure collecting and all that stuff. But like when you see him outside the WWE right now, it just feels like you're watching Zack Ryder. Like, he hasn't really changed anything about, like, his moveset or his appearance or presentation or anything. But if you want to change people's perspective on you, if he was to do a death match with Nick Gage, a lot of people would change their minds about Matt Cardona just being, like, this WWE guy. Like, because if he went out there and was getting hit with pizza cutters and meat skewers and all that stuff, like, I'm not saying I would do it. I'm just saying, like, if he wants to change people's perception, like, there's no better way of doing that than having a death match with Nick Gage.
Yeah. Honestly, that is definitely the way to restart or end your career, whichever way you want to put it.
And I really don't know if Cardona really, like, I don't want to patronize the guy and say, like, he doesn't know. But, like, I don't think he wants to be in the same ring as Nick Gage. Like, I don't think he fully understands.
Did he legit go to prison?
Yes, but that was because he robbed a bank. So
yeah. Yeah.
He it's been like a decade almost since then, I think. But and he's pretty reformed now as far as like his actual life. Like he stayed out of trouble. But I mean, his gimmick isn't a gimmick. I mean, he's out there shouting out his gangs and throwing up his signs, and like even during his intro, like it's like R.I.P. Justice Payne, R.I.P. And they go through like they shout out to so and so and East Block, like it's like he like shouts out like his homies that are like locked up and stuff. I mean, it's like it feels what Nick Gage does feels significantly more real than anything else in wrestling to me. Like it's so authentic.
I agree with that. It is.
And they're doing that Dark Side of the Ring on him soon, and that's gonna be
shocking
for a lot of people this season.
Yeah, people are not gonna realize why people actually legitimately fear going into the ring with him.
Yeah, I saw just the commercial alone. Like, it was Mox talking about Gage putting a pizza cutter in his mouth and, like, the whole deal. And it's like, oh, all right, this is going to be disgusting, but this is going to be a hell of a story.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. Whew. Well, anyways, y'all, let's talk a little blood and guts since we got about a half hour here.
Yeah.
Once again, last time I'll say it. If you want your predictions, comments, questions answered, all that stuff, super chats and donations. Donations are in the description below. Super chats go right through YouTube. And I originally thought that Blood and Guts, from what I was hearing, was just going to be like one match for the entire show, but it looks like we have this full card here.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and like, when's the last time there was a Wikipedia page for a television episode?
Yeah, it really only happens for some of these AEW specials. That's really
Yeah.
So I mean that, and this is a big deal. Like me and Jessi were talking before the show, and kind of the number that I'm hearing a lot of people throwing out there is people want this to do, or almost the expectation at this point is 1.5 million viewers, 1.5 rating. Which if they do that, I think Raw's rating this past week was like a 1.8. So we'd be talking about potentially a company who's been around for less than 2 years getting a rating similar to an established show that's been around for 25 years or whatever. Like, pretty incredible. Do you think that they'll, not that the actual rating really matters so much, but like, do you think this could potentially be the biggest AEW Dynamite that AEW's ever had?
I mean, it's interesting because I think I still think the debut will still be the winner at the end of the day. But I mean, the way people are hyping this up, I mean, the way people hype things up online, I mean, we kind of live in like an online bubble in the internet wrestling community. What translates to like being over online doesn't necessarily translate to being over like in general. I've found like a lot of the time.
Sure.
But I expect this to do at least over 1 million. Oh, gross. 1.1 or 1.2. Sorry, she just like spit up all over me.
No, you're good.
But
Savannah's literally on top of Jessi right now, by the way, also.
Yeah, she's just. Oh god, she's projectile vomited on me. We're good. We got stuff. Are you okay? Blood and guts. She said heavy on the guts.
There you go.
But I do expect this to do like at least 1.2 million. But if it doesn't, I mean, hey, whatever. As long as it does over 1 million, I think I'll be happy.
Yeah, and even then, like, I'm not so firm on like the whole million thing. Like, so many people seem to be. Like last week, people were. I know there was like a presidential speech and all that stuff, which had 20 something million people watching it or whatever. But like, I saw people saying that online last week. It was like, AEW only got 890,000 viewers, like, and I'm like, that's only 900,000 people for a show that's been around for a year and a half. Like, even if there wasn't
when the president is speaking, in the middle of a pandemic,
which I agree with that because the number would have been higher if that wasn't happening. But like, but even on a week where that, like, let's say that debate wasn't even happening or whatever, or that speech. It's still pretty much 1 million viewers. Like that's I think kind of where AEW's audience is right now, and I'm totally fine with them hovering around 1 million for a while, like because it's only going to continue to grow. And I know that the NBA is heavily advertising AEW on TNT, like during their commercials and stuff. So like the fan base is going to come, and there still is. There's a few big opportunities still for them, like. They still have the opportunity to convert over a lot of the parents of the kids who are still watching WWE. Like if these parents can show these kids that AEW is cooler, then they might want to watch AEW also, and that you start kind of chipping away at the younger demographic. They have there was with the lapsed wrestling fans, like there's still a chunk of fans out there that left after the Monday Night Wars. And if they know for sure that like AEW is a consistently good show, I think you can get some of those people back. Like,
that's true. I think so too.
Even people who just kind of watch TNT and watch sports and stuff, with Monday Night Raw, it's been consistently on either the USA Network or Spike TV /TNN or like wherever for, multiple decades on Mondays at pretty much the same time consistently. And AEW is on a channel that hasn't had wrestling since WCW. It's been 20 years. So like they're still probably trying to like kind of recondition their audience of like, like we, in case you missed it, like we have wrestling again. Like there's still in the process of like getting people to know that they're out there. And I think there's no problem with that. They're only like, they're less than 2 years in, and like they're so much more important than TNA / Impact Wrestling ever was in their whole in time that they've been around. And I mean, they're way bigger than Ring of Honor, and they're, you know what I mean? It's like they're doing so many good things. So I'm totally fine with where they're sitting at the ratings. But if they did hit like a 1.5 or even came close to 2 for this tonight, that would be a huge statement. So
if they do that, I will be shocked.
Yes. Yeah, me too, but that'd be awesome. I saw we got the super chat from James Eddington. Thank you very much, James. It says Daniel should go to, he's talking about Bryan Danielson, should go to Impact. He has been all over the world, and what y'all think people are saying women's wrestling doesn't draw money. So I think that's 2 questions. The first one, like, I would be fine with Daniel Bryan going to Impact. I don't think that's the best spot for him, but there are good matchups there. Like, him and Rich Swann would be good, him and Moose would be good, him and Willie Mack, him and Ace Austin, him and Chris Bay. I mean, there's a lot of good matchups over there. And then the other question, I think, is saying that women's wrestling doesn't draw money, which I don't think is necessarily true. I just think you have to have two stars, you know, male or female or any gender. Like, they just have to be stars, and there aren't nearly as many women's stars as there are male stars. That's just kind of how it is right now. So that'd be my answer for those. What do you think, Jessi?
Yeah, I think, you know, Daniel Bryan Danielson going to Impact would be interesting. Like I said, I don't think it's the best fit for him, but I think I wouldn't mind it. Like I said, at the end of the day, it's what he wants that's most important. And if he wants to go to Impact, then I will fully support him going to Impact. And as far as women's wrestling not drawing money, I don't think that's necessarily true. It draws money. It may not draw as much money as men's wrestling. But at the end of the day, I mean, you look at women's sports all around, it's not just wrestling. It's in general, women's sports tend to have less revenue just because. But it certainly does draw quite a bit of money. I mean, it's not an anti-draw, you know.
Well, I mean, I think there's a reason we don't see, like, and this isn't me being sexist, it's just telling the truth. Like, I think there's a reason that we don't see these like a weekly, like, if it truly drew the kind of money that people would want it to draw, it'd be like there'd be an all women's WWE show. There'd be like an all women, like, you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, they would. But here's the thing: they do have female stars. It's just there's the stars, and then there's a big drop off for like the next group. So like Charlotte draws money, Sasha draws money. Becky draws, yeah, definitely. Becky draws probably the most of all of them when she's around. Ronda Rousey draws a lot of money when she's around. Mm-hmm. I mean, Bayley, depending on who her opponent is, I know she has a lot of, you know, she's got a huge fan base. Asuka, kind of depending, you know, I don't know how much they are as far as like draws, like Asuka and stuff, but they're very, very talented, and they can have big matches. You know, Tessa was one of those, but we don't know what's going on with her right now. I mean, they're out there. I think Deonna Purrazzo could draw money. She's just she's just in Impact right now, so she doesn't get as much attention. Britt Baker, that's a great. Her and Thunder Rosa, I think, can both draw money. Serena Deeb, given the right opponent. Like, so I mean, I think Jade Cargill is going to draw money. Like, I think she's going to be real big. So
yes, I do too.
So that's really all it is like, there are females that draw money in wrestling. But then even when you looked at it like that, like, Becky could outdraw most, if not all, of the men in the WWE when she was there. So, like, she's kind of an exception too, like, because you know, they pretty much built the whole company around her before, you know, she left for her pregnancy. So, like, you know, her and Roman Reigns were really the 2 biggest stars in the company. And so, like, it's totally possible to reach the level in wrestling, I think, of the men, but it's just. And we also have to keep in mind, y'all, like, we're not that far removed from most of the women on the show just being eye candy and divas and this kind of stuff. Like, you know, so the progression is actually pretty incredible when you think about just 20 years ago or 15 years ago, or even like 10 years ago, where things were at. And then you see it now. And I know there's a big push, like, people want to see more women's wrestling, get more women on the show. And I'm not against that. I just think it just takes a little time. Like, you know, there's centuries worth of men's wrestling and them starting
Yeah,
wrestling when
that's
they were,
true.
you know, and like they were getting into it when they were young because like their grandpa or their dad did it, and like it was always a masculine, testosterone-driven business. And now it's shifted more, which I think is great. It's way more inclusive than it ever has been, as far as like everyone getting, you know, an opportunity to like show what they can do. That's not just for women. That's for, I mean, I'll just be dead honest. Like black wrestlers, historically speaking,
Yeah.
have not been treated very well by major companies, and now we're starting to see like a shift in that. You know, and that's just not black. It's really all minorities. Like it was a predominantly white dominated, you know, spot for entertainment for a very long time. So there's a lot of things that I think people want. It's just going to take a second, and I don't think there's not really much more you can do. And when you get a Becky Lynch or you get a Charlotte, or you know you get someone like that, you just, if you're a company, you need to recognize that, and you need to, you know, fully push that like they did with Becky. So
Yes.
So yeah, I think me and you are on the same page with all this. It's basically that it isn't that women's wrestling doesn't draw. It's just like there's a much smaller amount of women that draw than men that draw right now. But that's also to be expected because women's wrestling really hasn't been taken that seriously on mainstream television until like 5 to 7 years ago or something like that. Like it just hasn't been a lot of time. So yeah. Very good questions though, James. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
As far as Blood and Guts,
Blood and Guts.
we got we don't have to take too long on some of these predictions. We'll talk, you know, a bit more about the main event. We got SoCal Uncensored taking on Jurassic Express, taking on Varsity Blondes, taking on the Acclaimed in a 4-way. The winners of this match are going to get a future shot at the AEW Tag Team titles. Who do you think wins this match, Jessi, and goes on to face the Young Bucks for the belts?
Who do I think will win versus who I want to win? I think the Acclaimed may win. I don't know. I just feel like they're gonna get pushed. I don't know. That's what I kind of feel like. However, I really want Jurassic Express to win because I feel like they need a win. I feel like they really need to win. When's the last time they actually like won? Or am I just tripping? Did they just win recently?
No, to be honest, or to be fair, I haven't paid super close attention to Dark, so I don't know on there. But like as far as
I don't know about that. I'm talking about main.
Yeah, as far as Dynamite, I don't think that because they had that feud with FTR, but then after that, I don't think they've been winning much.
Yeah, and I just think that they really need a win. I really like them as a tag team. The Luchasaurus gimmick is cool, and I feel like it's too good to be wasted. You know what I mean? And then you have Jungle Boy. He got that whole song, the rights to that whole song. You know what I mean? And I think they're using that, aren't they?
Yeah, Baltimore, Tarzan Boy.
Yeah. So I mean, you want to get your money's worth out of that song. I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to justify it because I really do like Jurassic Express. I really like them. That's who I want to win.
It was so funny. The first time that they came out to that song, Taz on commentary, like you could tell he didn't know that they had bought that song for AEW. So, like Jungle Boy's coming out and it's the and Taz like was like wait a second, I love this song. Wait, whose song is this? Like he was like mad about it. He's like wait, this is like my favorite song. Like. Why am I hearing this song right now?
I love Taz on commentary. He's so funny.
As far as a winner, I like the Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus pick. I have two lines of thinking for two different ways. Unfortunately, neither have to do with like the actual story or what's going on in the ring. But like Jurassic Express, they just had a new figure set come out, and I could see them maybe trying to like push that like. Because it's it's new and they're gonna want to be advertising it.
Oh, smart.
It's the first ever 2-pack that AEW has done, and then but on the other side, the Varsity Blondes, you got the whole dark side of Brian Pillman thing going on right now, and
that's true.
What better time to give a little shine to Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison if the whole world's talking about Brian Pillman. It's maybe not the worst. And by the way, y'all, like I'm not sitting here like advocating like trying to like monetize or benefit off of the Brian Pillman situation and like his death and everything, but like his son does wrestle for AEW, and his son does look just like him and wrestle a lot like him. So
Does.
it's like the whole world's talking about Brian Pillman right now. This might be a good time to have Brian Pillman Jr. get a big win because people are going to be talking about that story. So I'm going to say the Varsity Blondes actually get the big upset here, but I don't think that they're going to beat the Young Bucks for the titles, but I think the timing works out really well with the whole dark side thing, so that's kind of where my mind's at with that.
Yeah, we got another super chat. Craig Foster.
Well, what do we got? Go ahead and read that out, Jessi.
All right, thank you so much, Craig. I really appreciate it a lot. Thank you so much. It says, do you think doing Blood and Guts on a weekly show instead of at a pay-per-view cheapens the gimmick? NXT does it the right way with a pay-per-view. Thank you so much, Craig. I really don't think so. I think with NXT, they kind of have the blessing of having, the WWE pay-per-views to back on. And I mean, they did like the whole Halloween Havoc thing on Wednesday night, and they did like a whole 2-night thing, and I don't think that cheapened the gimmick at all. They've done some like big takeover worthy matches on weekday television, and I think that I don't think it cheapened it at all. And I also think AEW sticks to like 4 big pay-per-views a year right now. So I think having this on their weekly television show, and plus they're new, they need to get eyes on the show. They need to show for free what you can get on a pay-per-view. They kind of have to sell themselves. I don't think it cheapens the gimmick at all. Maybe in a way, maybe they have to keep it kind of PG for television. Maybe it kind of dilutes it a little bit. But I don't think it dulls the gimmick at all, and I don't think Halloween Havoc was dulled at all because it was on a Wednesday and a Thursday. Or wasn't it on 2 nights or 2 Wednesdays in a row?
I think it was 2 Wednesdays in a row.
Okay, was it? Yeah, because I was like, wait a minute. So, that's a really good question, though. I do really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Craig. And I don't think. I mean, there are certain things that they won't do on cable TV, but I think it'll still wind up being. I mean, I think we're still going to see those guys out there blading. I mean, there's going to be blood. I mean, it's called Blood and Guts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still going to be pretty brutal. But the only thing about Blood and Guts that concerns me at all about it being on national TV and everything and the timing of it. And I'm not saying that I dislike this. I'm just saying the only thing that I kind of have in the back of my mind that is a little uneasy is they have their next pay-per-view in like a few weeks. And we still don't know like who's wrestling for the title at that, who's wrestling Kenny. We don't know what's happening at this next pay-per-view, and that's coming up really soon. But
that's a good point.
But at the same time, though, this is a hell of an advertisement to get people to buy the next pay-per-view. If they watch this show and they're like, this is incredible, they're gonna be way more likely to buy the show if they weren't going to before. So I think it could work in that way. And Craig, it's a good question. I don't think it necessarily cheapens the gimmick. And as a fan, now I also look at most things from like a fan perspective, right? Instead of like pretending I'm like in charge or like that I'm a decision maker or that I'm that I'm monetarily responsible for any of this stuff. As a fan, I always love stuff for free on TV. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If I don't have to pay $50 or whatever to see Blood and Guts and they're just going to give it to me, like, I'm definitely not going to complain about that. So, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I feel about it. And I just hope it doesn't hurt. I think it will help the pay-per-view buy because people are going to get hyped up on this show. But they need to quickly pivot after tonight and start really letting us know, like, what's this next pay-per-view going to look like.
Yeah, so building up that card for sure. Maybe tonight will. Who knows?
Yeah, what also, I mean, there's also, it's a long shot, but Daniel Bryan doesn't have a non-compete from what everything is being reported. And by the way, shout out to Sean Ross Sapp. He's the one who reported the Daniel Bryan news for Fightful Select. So, want to give him his credit because that all came off of Sean. FightfulSelect.com. And if you subscribe to Fightful Select, you can listen to my podcast, the Fightful Select Weekender podcast, every Sunday. So check that out. Weekender. Up next, we have Britt Baker versus the dreaded TBA, the to be announced.
Oh no.
Now,
who could it be?
Who do you think it's going to be, Jessi? You have any ideas or anyone you really want to see it be or anything like that?
It would be interesting, and I don't know if she can, but it would be interesting to see Chelsea Green because they're like friends. But I think she's got a no compete clause.
I think she got a 90-day, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just say Chris Statlander just to be fun. I don't know. Just somebody. I don't know if I want it to be Tessa Blanchard. Or you know what would be really cool is Jordan Grace.
Yeah, a Forbidden Door situation. That'd be sweet.
Yeah,
I mean,
a Forbidden Door situation would be really beneficial here because we really haven't seen it that much on the women's side.
yeah, no, yeah, and that was the biggest thing when they started doing the Forbidden Door, where I was like, this is the big opportunity for AEW to get some of those women from Impact, because that would be so huge for them in that division. I would love to see those. I think those are all great options. You know, I'm a huge Jordan Grace fan. I think that'd be great. I think Ryan Kimpel says we're overlooking SCU. The only reason
Yeah, I
that
said true.
yeah, well, but the reason being, like, they've already held the titles. I just don't see them winning the match. It isn't that I dislike them. I just don't think that they're gonna win.
Mhm.
But and I'll just throw this out there too. I know some people disagree. Like, I do want to see Tessa back. I do. Like, I think
Yeah, I know.
I think she deserves another chance. Like, a lot of time has passed, and I think she has. Publicly, I think she's paid for whatever has happened. I mean, the entire wrestling business has hated her for. And she hasn't been able to work anywhere for this whole time. I mean, so it's like, you know, if there's a repeated pattern of these things, she's done. And I think everybody can agree on that. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's like, I do want to see her resurface somewhere. She's starting to work indies again, so there's a little hope there. But, like,
Oh,
she's
I
just...
think that's probably better for her now. Work the indies and work her way up.
Yeah. And she
Prove
just...
herself. Prove herself that she's changed on the indies.
Yeah, and yeah, if you can prove that you changed and there's no repeated pattern. I mean, and a lot of this, we could talk about it for a long time, but she was very young. I mean, I have said such stupid stuff when I was 20 years old that I would never say or do. My line of thinking is so different at 32 than it was at 20. I mean, it's a completely different human being. So I'm hoping, and she's so talented. Like, I want to see her back, but that's just, you know, so I think that'd be cool. And there was a lot of reports recently that her and Daga were going to AEW, but then I'm hearing conflicting stuff that they aren't. So I don't know, but I will say this, and this is something I think everyone can agree on. Britt Baker's incredible. So, like, I think they need to give whoever Britt Baker wrestles, she needs to win, and Britt needs to go on, and she needs to be the one to beat Cheetah for that title, in my opinion. So
Yes, me too. Agreed.
we just hope it's a good match. Hope it's a good surprise, and I liked your Chris Statlander pick also. Even though she's already in AEW, like, that would be a great match. So
Yeah.
after that, we have Kenny Omega and Michael Nakazawa taking on Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. And this one is interesting because it's still basically the story from the failed explosion and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Which is another thing, like, that Blood and Guts really needs to deliver tonight, because
Yeah.
like, there's gonna be some fans that bought that pay-per-view that maybe haven't been watching AEW since that pay-per-view because they were like, oh, that dud explosion was so lame, I'm out. You know what I mean? They probably turned some fans off. Who do you think wins this one? I mean, I think it's pretty clear that, like, Nakazawa is gonna go in there and take a beating and take the pin and all that stuff, but, like, do you think this match is really just more storyline building between Omega, Moxley, and Kingston and whatnot than, like, an actual competitive match?
I think it'll be fun. Competitive, I don't think so. I think Mox and Kingston go over, obviously, but and Nakazawa was basically there to eat the pin, like you said, and to kind of protect Kenny Omega. I think it'll either be funny or fun. It'll be probably both. I'm just really excited because I've loved the banter between all of them, and I've really loved Mox and Kingston together, and I'm excited to see them in the ring together, especially against Kenny Omega and Nakazawa. So it'll be really interesting. I'm sure Don Callis will have something to do with it too. So it'll be interesting to see what shenanigans they get into, and I think it'll be even more interesting to see what the aftermath looks like and how that potentially could lead up to an AEW championship match at Double or Nothing with somebody.
Yeah. What do you think about... So, like, what Dave Meltzer, I think, was reporting a couple weeks ago was that they were going to be building towards Hangman and Kenny at the pay-per-view, which I didn't like because I want that longer out. Like, I want Hangman and Kenny...
that's too...
Yeah.
You can't rush that.
Yeah, do that at, like, Revolution next year or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then have Hangman win, because at that point, Kenny should have collected all the belts and done his thing, and then it's time to pass the torch to Hangman. But based on what I saw this past Wednesday, when Brian Cage, I gotta be specific because there's Christian Cage and there's Adam Page and there's Diamond Dallas Page and there's Ethan Page and there's so Brian Cage beat Hangman on Wednesday. I think it'd be
shocked me.
I think it'd be dope though if they did Brian Cage versus Kenny Omega for the belt at the next pay-per-view. I think that'd be a great main event.
That would be fun. That would actually be really interesting, especially when he got over. He was put over Hangman Page.
And
so.
especially if Brian Cage, especially if Brian Cage defends the FTW title, because that's another belt that Kenny can win.
Ooh, that's a good point. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot. So, and it's a match that I don't think I've ever seen before. I don't think I've ever seen Kenny and Cage one-on-one. So, I think that's a hell of a. I think that's another one where like you know that Kenny's gonna win, but like that's fine because as long as Kenny can like go out there and just keep beating new people and getting more belts, like that's the whole gimmick for Kenny right now. So like. You know, and as long as the match is good, which I have no reason to think it wouldn't be good, it would probably be Brian. I think Brian Cage is really, really, really talented, and he hasn't really been able to even show as talented as he is because of some of the Team Taz stuff. But like, he's really, really damn good. So yeah, and Corey mentioned. Thanks, welcome back, Corey. It's good to see you, man. He said, he completely forgot about the FTW title, and it's easy to forget about because it's a worthless title belt. Let's be honest. Like he's lost.
It's just there for fun.
Yeah, and he's lost every like big match he's had. Like and he's still the FTW champion and whatnot. But like, this would be a good way to do something with it because Cage isn't doing anything with it. So at least have Kenny carry it around. I just want to see Kenny looking like Ultimo Dragon, just holding like 9 title belts at one time. Like, I think it'd be awesome. But yeah, we're all on the same page here. Mox and Kingston. I think basically what happens in that one, I think we're going to get maybe Omega starts the match or something, but at some point Omega's going to totally abandon Nakazawa. He's just going to leave, and it's just going to be Nakazawa just getting completely destroyed by Moxley and Kingston. After that, in really what's become a pretty serious feud, we have Cody Rhodes taking on QT Marshall, and Cody will have Arn Anderson, and he, of course, has his Nightmare family, and you have QT Marshall, who has the Factory. I'm so bad with his name. Nick Comoroto, Anthony Ogogo, who apparently only at this point knows how to hit people in the stomach. And then you have Aaron Solo, who I've actually liked for a long time. He did really good work on the indies. I saw him at Dojo Pro back in years back, and some Ring of Honor stuff. Talented guy. What do you think about this one here? Like, do you think this is... Because this seems like the story is not going to end tonight. Like, I feel like it's still got some layers. So, like, do you think that Cody goes in there and gets the win kind of like as he should over a guy like QT? Or do you think QT wins this somehow and it, like, prolongs this whole story?
I have a feeling QT Marshall will win. It won't be like clean per se, like someone in the Nightmare family or whatever they call them. What do they call them? Nightmare family? Nightmare Factory.
Nightmare Factory, right? No, just the Factory for QT now.
Oh, the Factory.
Yeah,
that's right.
Nightmare Family and the Factory are the two groups.
You gotta, when Cody loses, you gotta make him look like he was beaten down and it just wasn't fair. I feel like that always works for Cody. So I feel like something's gonna happen. They're gonna like take out Arn Anderson. And Cody's going to be all shook, and then he's going to lose, and to protect Arn Anderson, and the story will keep going, and that'll add fuel to the fire, and continue this on to Double or Nothing, or whichever, and then he'll probably take time off when Brandy has the baby, so we shall see.
Yeah, I think that all makes sense, and yeah, I think QT wins this one too, like, but it's going to be very... I don't want to say convoluted, but like there's gonna have to be a reason that QT wins. He isn't just gonna beat him.
Yeah.
So like maybe there's another member of the Factory that gets revealed tonight or something. Like someone else, maybe like Lee Johnson churns on the Nightmare Family and joins the Factory or something. Like I don't know, but but I think QT if they're gonna prolong this story, QT needs to win. But if they've figured they've gotten everything they need to out of this, then I would just have Cody. Almost in a glorified squash, just do what he does, hit him with a crossroads, and just prove that he's just better than he is. But
I can definitely see both of those situations happening.
Yeah, I could see. I just think it's like you were saying, and like I think the chat's saying as well. I think it's more likely they prolong it, because maybe they do this match again at the pay-per-view, and that's when Cody kind of puts it to bed. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm interested to see how they get there. Like if QT wins tonight, I'm very interested to see like how they wind up doing that. So, because like one-on-one, obviously I'm very biased towards Cody and all that stuff. Everyone knows that, but like.
Mm-hmm.
But like as like a wrestling fan, anyone else, like not even me or like a longtime fan or whatever of him, like does anybody actually think that QT Marshall's anywhere even close to Cody Rhodes level? You know what I mean? Like if this was just a one-on-one match with like hardly any build up, you would expect it to be a total squash. So like
Yeah.
So like I'm interested. Now I will mention this though too. They've done a really good job building Camarado. They've done a decent job with Solo. Not too much with him yet. But a Go-Go they've gotten over as like if he hits you, you're done. So like at least they're doing something to progress, you know, the characters of
some of these people. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what you need. So
totally agree. And main event time, once again, everyone, thank y'all so much for the super chats. If you got any more, this is the time. If you have a prediction for the main event, who do you think is going to win? Inner Circle, we got Pinnacle, a ton of great talent in this match. Let us know your thoughts. Donation link is in the description. Super chats go right through YouTube. Also, please hit that thumbs up button. I know I'm talking about it more today than normal, but like it really, really, really helps our streams out, and it's totally free and takes like half a second. So if you don't mind doing that, we would really appreciate it. And also subscribe, because the subscriber count continues to grow, which is great.
Yeah, it's great.
Even when we have to take weeks off and stuff, because me and Jessi's schedules don't always match each week, but like people keep subscribing, so like we really, really, really appreciate the continual growth of all this.
Yeah.
As far as this match, we got Blood and Guts. From what we're hearing, it sounds very, very similar to War Games, which is what we all expected, which is a good thing. I think this, like, I want War Games, so this sounds pretty cool. The only thing I don't like about War Games type matches, this is the only thing, but it's been like this since the beginning of time. Like, it's not like it's something that's changed because of AEW or anything. With War Games, I wish it was an elimination style match. Because
ooh, that would be good.
Because then the element would be, I wish it was elimination style, and I wish that the entrance like alternated teams. So like for instance, I had to really sit here and like map it out, like, because I'll probably get some things wrong here as I'm trying to explain like off the top of my head. But basically, like if Jericho started the match for Inner Circle, which is say hypothetically, and MJF started for Pinnacle, that won't happen. It won't be those two. But if it was, you'd have Jericho and MJF, 1-on-1, right? So then, like, they do the coin toss or whatever. Let's say Inner Circle gets the first advantage. You would have Jericho and Hager versus MJF. Okay. But, so there's, like, a true advantage there. If the two of them can eliminate this guy, like, that's a real big advantage. But then, the way that I see it is, like, if this guy survives, the next two should be from his team. Because now they've got the advantage on these two. So, like, you're constantly switching the advantage of who, like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, one team's going to have, it's going to be 1-on-1, then it's going to be 2-on-1, but then it'll be 3-on-2 the other way. So, you're constantly changing the advantage, and you can eliminate people during the match. So, like, if someone gets out, someone's out. So, now your team drops down a person, and it's last man standing, which I think would be really, really interesting.
That would be interesting.
The way that they do it is still a lot of fun. It's just you have to wait until everyone's in the ring and then a finish or submission or I think for this it'll probably be you can either probably submit or give up. There probably won't even be a pinfall element to this. And it's just like it's cool once everyone's in the match. But the problem before that for me is like I know the match can't end until everyone's there. So I don't care quite as much when I'm just seeing it building, because I know nobody can get eliminated during that. If there could be eliminations, I'd be way more invested throughout the entire match. Like, oh, damn, it's 3-on-2 right now. Like, the people with 2, like, they may be down to 1 here in a minute. Like, you know, like, it's... So, that's just me personally. I think that would... But I'm the same way with, like, Royal Rumbles and stuff. There's so many rules I would want to change to make it make more sense and stuff, but that's just me. As far as the actual match, though... Who do you think wins this one, Jessi? Because this is a really, really huge main event. This is going to have a lot of eyes on it, and this is going to probably have a major trickle-down effect as far as, like, the future stories in AEW. A lot of it are probably going to be coming off of this match, I think.
Yeah, I think it'll build a lot of individual feuds, hopefully, with respective members of each group. I would hope. Um, However, at the end of the day, I really think Pinnacle wins. I feel like Pinnacle wins. I feel like Jericho is going to put over MJF, and deservedly so. MJF is amazing. Even though Chris Jericho cut that amazing promo, I think MJF cut a really good one too.
Oh, yeah.
So I think for me as a fan, I feel like MJF winning gives me more storyline wise than Jericho winning, because if Jericho wins, then what's the point? I think someone said that in the chat. Um, who said that? Someone did. Oh, Tim Last. Tim Last said that. I think that's true. Because, the Inner Circle's had, they've been the top tier for so long. And then the Pinnacle comes and challenges them. And what's the point if they challenge them and lose? I mean, maybe you could be like, it's a little buddy-buddy thing and, father-son kind of thing. But I think Pinnacle wins, and I think it's going to be fun, and I'm really excited. I feel like it's going to be something completely different that we haven't seen AEW do ever, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. With all of that, like, I think Pinnacle wins as well. I think MJF is the one for his team to get to force the win. And I think it would mean even more if he forced it to be if he made Jericho give up or tap out or whatever. Like, that would be that'd be huge. They haven't done the full on MJF Jericho 1-on-1 still, have they? So
no.
So, like, that's gonna eventually happen. Maybe that's at the pay-per-view. So, because here's the thing too, like, when you think about it, because now I'm thinking about it even deeper, because MJF has to win the feud, right? Like, MJF eventually, like, Jericho and MJF 1-on-1 at some point. If that were to happen, MJF has to win, and I'm assuming that we're going to get that. So, like, does Inner Circle need to win tonight so that they can set up MJF and Jericho 1-on-1, or does it Pinnacle win here and then MJF wins there too, and it just. Because another side of this too is I don't know if Inner Circle stays as a group for too much longer either, and I think Pinnacle is going to be around for the foreseeable future. So
yeah,
there's a lot of questions.
There are a lot of questions, and I feel like it has a lot of potential to go a lot of ways. And I feel like if Inner Circle wins, you don't get that much like questionability as you would, because you feel like, oh, that's just like, oh, well, cool, Inner Circle won. But if Inner Circle loses, then you're, like you said, you question what's going to happen with, LAX or, Santana and Ortiz, or what's going to happen with Sammy Guevara or, Hager and stuff like that. Like, there's more questions and there's more ability to build their storylines as not only individual people, but also, the dismantlement of the group as well. And I think it would really start Jericho's babyface run.
Yeah, because that's a big part. That's a big thing they're trying to do throughout this. Is like get him turned as a major babyface again. Ryan Griffin in the chat, thank you for reminding me of that. I felt like I knew I'd seen them wrestle each other, but that was MJF beat Jericho to get into the Inner Circle. They had that.
That's right.
But that was like the beginning. That's kind of the beginning stages of all this. So I think there's going to be like a big blow-off fight between MJF and Jericho that is still yet to come, I think. So, yeah, I mean, I just hope it's a good match. Kogan, thanks for joining. I see him in all of these. Thanks for coming in here. You missed pretty much the whole show, Kogan, but if you have anything last minute, throw it in the chat or send a super chat or donation, whatever you want to do. We'll read it. It's a tough one to call. Like, I saw Craig Foster says he'd like to see Spears get the win. I highly doubt that would happen. As a matter of fact, like, I think Spears shouldn't even be in the group. That's just me personally. I think they could have somebody better in that spot. But I like to see that he's getting the opportunity. But, like, if this doesn't work out, I mean, it's like, how many more times are you going to try with this guy? So, then you look at the rest of the group, and it's like, MJF is the future of professional wrestling. He's going to be the top heel for the next decade. You have Wardlow, who I think is going to be a massive babyface when he eventually turns on MJF, or vice versa. And you have Wheeler and Harwood, who are like still arguably the best in-ring tag team in the world, depending on, you know, what you like, you know, in tag team wrestling. So Spears just really seems like such a weak link out of the rest of that group. And I would also say if the Inner Circle wins this match, it's going to be them pinning Spears. So, or making Spears tap or whatever. And a lot of this stuff isn't Spears' fault, by the way. It's just we've seen him booked at a certain level, not only in AEW, but like his entire WWE and NXT runs and stuff. He's always been kind of perceived at a certain level, and nobody's really taken that chance to like really go all the way with him. So it's just hard as a fan to like really invest in it, because you just always figure when it's a big match, he's going to lose. So it's just hard to like really get invested in him. And this is coming from somebody, I own one of those like Sean Spear or the Ty Dillinger 10 shirts and stuff. Like, I've supported the guy and bought his merch, and he was Cody Rhodes' tag team partner in OVW. Like, I used to watch them in OVW I used to find their stuff on the internet. Like, I like the guy. He's just been presented as such a lower card guy this whole time. And Craig says it could help build him by letting him get the win. I totally agree, Craig. I totally agree with what you're saying. I just don't see them doing it. But if they did it, that would be that'd be the biggest win he's ever gotten in his career. If he was to be the one to get to have the deciding, you know, submission or whatever in Blood and Guts, for sure. Yeah. So I mean, that's Blood and Guts, y'all. It's tonight. It should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Jess, you have anything else that you want to talk about with the show before we get out of here?
No, I don't. I just wanted to say thanks, everybody, for coming in and hanging out. And if you want to subscribe to my OnlyFans, you can. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, mainly. And, yeah, other than that.
I'll get the sponsors pulled up here in just a second so we can talk about them a little bit. Who am I missing? Here we go. Let's see. Kevin G says if Cody wasn't on TV all the time, Spears might get a chance to show what he can do. I don't think that's really Cody's fault, to be honest. Like, I think to be completely honest, I think the main reason Sean Spears is in AEW is because he's friends with Cody. So I don't think Cody's like holding him back. But there is just that stigma. Like, if you see Cody and Sean Spears in the ring together, you're going to always automatically think that Cody's going to win that match. Like, you have no reason to think otherwise.
Yep.
Corey, good night. Good to see you in here, man, for real.
Good to see you, Corey. Thanks for being our go-to resource, man.
Yes. The pro wrestling savant right there. The guy can tell you about stuff that happened in 2002 like it was yesterday. I mean, just
amazing.
I'm missing one of our sponsors. Who am I missing? Oh, my brother, duh. Sorry, Brian.
Jeez.
Oh, I can't even look at it now because I don't have an account. That's so lame. I'll just talk about him. We'll get this pulled up. All right, y'all. So thank you again for coming on the show today and being a part of the live chat. Everybody watching this. Just want to give a shout out to some of our sponsors real quick, starting with WrestleRumble.com. They are going to be doing a WrestleMania Backlash Pick'em contest. The first place prize is going to be $1,000. $1,000. Second place is getting $100, and third place is also getting $100. So a total of $1,200 on the line to pick professional wrestling questions, pick'ems, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's literally like a forum of just questions, and it's going to ask you who's going to win matches, who's going to lose matches, what might happen in some of these matches, just a bunch of stipulations and stuff. The entries are $10, and they're not available just yet, but the pay-per-view is coming up on the 16th, so expect this contest to start very soon. So the best thing I could recommend, make sure to follow them on Twitter at WrestleRumble and stay up to date with all their contests, and of course, check their website, WrestleRumble.com. And then also, shout out to Music City Toys and Collectibles. I went to their grand opening on this past Saturday. As a matter of fact, I've got got this for myself. Pretty cool. Got to meet Dan the B. Severn, and he signed a little autograph for me. And he was a really, really nice guy. Talked to him about some independent pro wrestling, a little MMA, and it sounds like he wants to come on the podcast soon, and we exchange information. So that'd be cool. And we're also going to have soon for a giveaway that I'll promote here and also on Twitter and stuff. But they are sending me a signed Dan Severn MMA glove to give away. So yeah, really, really cool. Thank you so much to Music City Toys and Collectibles. Their new retail location is located at 101 West Main Street in Watertown. I say it wrong all the time. Watertown, Watertown, Tennessee. The store is awesome. I wound up buying some action figures. I wound up finding a Brett Favre Minnesota Vikings figure in there, which I didn't even know existed.
Oh, nice.
And I bought that. It was only $10. I was like, $10, well worth it. I'll take one of these. I bought a Bendham that I needed. Still chipping away at my collection there. Bought some Funko Pops. Like, their store was awesome. If you're a loose collector also, like they have so many loose figures there for cheap that like you can really build your collection if you hit them up. So yeah, Music City Toys and Collectibles, check them out. They're great people. They do very, very, very fair business, and they're constantly doing stuff on their Facebook too. Like they do sales and auctions and stuff on their Facebook Live too. So support them because they support us. And then also shout out to my brother Brian Jensen. I normally pull his Instagram here, but my browser's not letting me use Instagram right now. So make sure to follow him. It's at BoxingATL, BoxingATL. He can help you with a wide variety of things. If you want to learn how to throw hands, get in better shape, learn self-defense. If you want to box or kickbox or fight MMA at a professional or amateur level, even if you have neurological issues, like if you have Parkinson's or MS or anything like that, Brian is certified in a very wide range, and it doesn't matter what kind of shape you're in, how old you are, what your gender is, anything. Like, you tell Brian what you're looking to do, he'll help you reach your goals. So once again, hit him up on Instagram at BoxingATL, BoxingATL. And just like with the rest of our sponsors, if you tell them that me and Jessi sent you their way, I promise you get a really, really, really good deal on whatever you're trying to do. So that's all I've got as far as my stuff. And then, of course, you got my my Twitter here, which is #FightTalk_. And I just try to keep all the stuff I got going on updated here on Twitter. And my link tree right here in the bio, if you open that up, it'll kind of direct you to pretty much anything I got going on throughout the week. So yeah, I very much appreciate that and all the support. Thank you all very much for coming on and watching me and Jessi today. Do you have anything else, Jessi, before we sign off?
Oh, nope. I'm good. I'll see y'all. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out, and hit the little bell so you don't miss out when we go live.
Yeah, there you go. Y'all enjoy Blood and Guts. I think tonight over on the RVD Tito for Life YouTube channel, I think Doug is going to do a review of Blood and Guts tonight, like a video that I'm going to edit up afterwards, and it should be out tonight or tomorrow morning. So if y'all want to see my friend Doug review the show over on his channel that I've been a part of for the last few months, check that out tonight after the show. He always has really good insight and really good reviews. So yeah, that all being said, I've been Steven Jensen for Jessi Davin. We'll see you next week sometime, probably on a Tuesday or Wednesday, but we'll keep you updated on Twitter. And if you're subscribed on YouTube, then you will be one of the first to know that we're going to be doing a show. So